Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I'm here in Surrey, deepest Surrey I can tell you. We're in the middle of nowhere really. It's called Churt. Beautiful trees, jungle, undergrowth. We're here for trout fishing at Frensham Trout Fishery. Now we've been here before, but a lot of you guys that like fly fishing have been private mailing Mike and messaging us saying, what about dry fly? Now I don't know a great deal about dry fly fishing for trout. I've done it, of course, I've done it over the years. Here, Richard Dwight, well, he knows about it from the history of the beginning of the dry fly. He's been to an auction, he's spent some money. Let's go and see what he's got in the trout section. And some of you guys with modern tackle, you better hang on to something. It's unbelievable what he's buying. Now it looks to me, Richard, you've been to the auction. You got some good bits and pieces there. And I can see you've got, well, they all look like trout reels to me, but in fact they're not.
They're not.
What's an early trout reel nowadays? So guys who've got the modern gear know what they look like.
Yeah. Well, a very early trout reel is the Hardy Perfect, which is quite collectible. Brass foot, alloy, rim control, and a line guide.
So your line comes out that hole there, yeah?
That's it, yeah. And
what was that for there, Rich? What's that little nut? Is that a damper or something?
Rim control. Yeah, that slows the spool down.
Yeah, because people got to realise they're all metal. There's no plastic. There's no. Not even Bakelite in this area. Era. This would have been what 100 years old or something. Something or other.
10 maximum, yeah. 1910.
Now, fly lines. Just tell people what do they used to use fly lines.
On this salmon reel, as an example, that is all silk, and it's still on the reel. It's gone a little bit hard. It needs re-waxing. So they put. But that is a silk line.
So they used to have to dress that to preserve it, did they?
Strip it right off, dress the whole line with wax. It's like earwax almost.
Yeah.
And then reel it back on. Which makes it float, of course.
To make it float. Now that brings me to with dry fly fishing.
Yep.
When the history of trout fishing first started, there was no lures and really no nymphs, as I understand it.
No.
It was imitating, not one of these guys. That's as close as we're going to get today, probably. but imitating the original, I think is what we would say. So it had to be a fly on the surface of the water, which we hope to catch one on a dry fly later on. But what would they have used for leader? You got the fly line that's dressed. They put it on a big winder to dry it and dress it.
Yep.
What did they use at the end? Because they had no nylon then. What did they use?
They use a very fine silk. In fact, the Irish use what do you call it?
Horsehair, is it?
Yeah, like horsehair for dapping. You know, they used to tie daddy long legs on and dap for the trout.
With a long rod, very long rods.
Yeah, but it was made of silk, very fine silk. All horse's hair, horse tail, anything that floats basically.
So that was their leader down to the fly.
That was their leader, yeah.
And what would they dress that with? Wax, I suppose, to make it fly?
Yeah, again wax or also a sinker. They would use mud to sink the end of the...
Oh, I see. If they want the fly to go down, they'd use mud to degrease it, as it were.
Yeah.
So really, when you think about it, you look at some of the tackle today, they're spoiled compared with what they had to use years ago to catch fish.
Well, look at the size of this mallet reel. This a very old reel. The front spins round for trotting on the river. That is a salmon reel, but like nothing you've seen today. You know, it's
the same principle. The line coming off the spool, and
through the line.
You've got to imagine that as the front of a thick spool reel there. Correct, coming off.
Yeah.
And the line would come round, and when you want to wind it on it, that's the direction of the rod, and you'd wind the line through that hole like this.
But if you wanted it to run on its own down the river, you'd just release that.
I see. Yes, yeah.
Release that, and then pull the all that round.
Yeah. And that alters the boom.
I'm not very good with the old arthritis, you know. That's it.
And you could let the line run down.
It would run through there, yeah.
Now these people would be using, say for salmon, they'd be using what, green heart rods even
Green
before?
heart rods.
So coupled with the weight of this,
That and the
that's
line.
what, brass? That's all brass?
That's all brass. Quite heavy. Have a
It is,
feel
I'm
of the
thinking of
weight
that. If you were fishing all day with that, and a great big long
No wonder
rod,
they had muscles like Superman.
they must have been eating spinach like
Yeah.
Popeye all the time.
Well, the rods were 16, 20 foot long,
Yeah.
salmon rod, with a butt on it, you know,
All the kids
good
are now
2 inches.
going to ask, who's Popeye? Both Richard
Well,
and I know who Popeye is.
We do.
Only we know he eats spinach, and that's all that matters. Don't worry about it, kids.
And
Popeye did exist. He was real.
Popeye used to use one of these. Because that is a salmon priest. You know, bend over.
Don't bang this on me.
I mean,
What wood is
you
that? Oh God, that's a weight.
that's elm, I think. I
elm.
think it's elm. But it is heavy.
I could make the wife sleep with this, couldn't I? I'd have no
Yeah.
problem with her snoring.
I mean, the flies were pretty big, but look at the salmon priest. God almighty.
Now moving on, this is well, we don't have. What do we have as a creel nowadays? We don't have sort of a carrier bag to take
Carrier
the fish
bag,
home.
you know.
So years ago,
Yep.
you know, they'd have that sort of thing. Let's walk around this side. Show us what these are.
These are large creels, full of old tackle, of course, but you would put your trout in there on the river bank, which keeps the air would go through, keep it nice and fresh. That was for stream fishing, little tiny trout, and they just drop them through
Oh, that's
there.
what the hatch on the front. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that, guys. It's a hatch.
And the trout would just drop through there because it would be on his shoulder. And the other one is similar.
I see it. There we
Yeah,
show you. That's
a
a big
slot
one.
there.
Oh, this was a specimen hunter. As you can see, you've got a much bigger hole to drop the trout into. But I didn't know, and I did some collecting. I never knew that keeps them nice and cool. But you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
see why the air's
The air's
flowing
going
through there.
keeps them fresh.
And again, you've got lots of goodies in here. My goodness
Oh,
me!
it's full
I'm
of
going
it.
to pull this one out. This
Yeah.
might be cast in there.
Yeah.
Now, they used to use years ago what I call gut. Was it gut cast as
Gut
well?
casts, yeah.
Now there's
The selection of
There's some of
salmon
the salmon and sea trout flies there, I guess.
Yeah.
And some of these could be 80 years old.
Yeah,
Some of these flies.
all of that,
This certainly is.
Yeah.
This certainly is made of leather. I don't know whether you guys can see some of the old flies there now. I don't know, would they be wet fly patterns? Would I be calling
Those
those?
are mainly wet. Yeah.
Mainly wet flies. So
and
in a
mainly
river, yeah. So you'd be fishing downstream
Correct.
and
yeah.
letting the fly swing across
Correct. That's on a metal plate.
with all little clips to hold the flies on in there. And what was the idea of this sort of parchment there?
That
Did
was
it take
to dry,
moisture out?
Yeah, dry the fly out when you put it back in. Yeah. Yeah.
Now today we could use something like that in a modern fly box. Surely,
could, yeah.
if they made a material that absorbed any moisture, your hooks wouldn't go rusty.
Correct. Yeah.
Of course, we catch so many trout that our hooks don't have time to go rusty. Then we're getting into the modern era, but there's some, to me, some real tiny flies there. Really small ones, vintage ones. And your box here, show us that. Guys,
Yeah.
might as well look at it because there's not many places you get to see vintage, the original old tackle.
Now that's typical cartridge magazine that you can pick up from any sale, but it's useful for storing all your reels. You know, all your reels could slot in there.
Yeah.
You know, put your Bowie knife in as well, you know.
When you say cartridge, shotgun cartridge, is that what it was? So that would be from a shoe.
Yeah, that's M.W. Richards of Fishergate, Preston. But they also made fishing tackle,
I see.
so that's a good example. But it is a cartridge magazine.
The old famous mates of their time, what would they be that made some of these reels? Hardies and stuff?
This is an Allcox, free running.
That's
reel.
a nice one there. Look. Again, this would be early 1900s.
Yeah,
And look how that spins, guys.
and that.
That's that old, and it's still
Yeah,
it's still going.
well. That is probably the most expensive. Well, that's pretty pricey, but that Hardy Perfect is a collector's reel.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite tiny, but
Is that a left-hand? That would be a left-hand wind one,
that
would it?
is a left-hand wind. Yeah.
And what do these run out now? What would something like that? You know, people have to. If they want to start collecting this stuff, what would they have to pay? Something like that.
£250.
Yeah, but so you're never going to get anything like this again. That's gone.
no.
They're not making these anymore.
They're all
it's like
going
land,
to
they're not making it.
America and beyond,
Yeah.
being shipped out of the country. So I'm trying to keep it all here.
Well, that's good, that's good. Yeah, Richard, on the subject of dry flies, you know, people have to understand it's much, much more difficult catching trout on a dry fly than it is really on nymphs and lures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're here at your fishery in Surrey. We've got a bright day, we know it's going to be tough, it's the middle of summer, but it's worth hanging on for an hour or so in the evening.
Oh yes, yeah.
What sort of patterns would you recommend? You know, any of the old tried and tested ones?
Well, we've just finished mayfly, but mayfly will still take fish even now.
Yeah.
Sedge, small sedge on the surface. Daddy longlegs, of course, all year long.
All through they take,
all through, yeah. With a daddy, of course, you can have it floating or sinking.
Yes.
The trout aren't fussy.
They're not bothered, yeah.
No.
What about small stuff? Really, black gnats and that sort of thing?
Yeah, black gnats, coral the canard.
Yes.
With the parachute hackle on the back.
That's sort of make it a sort of an emerging type of dry fly, I think, isn't it?
Emergers. Buzzers are also very good.
Yeah. So in this hot weather, they're going to be. You could get fish off the surface still, even you know.
Oh yes.
You tend to think, oh, they're all down there, laying down on the bottom, and it's cooler. But you know, they've got to eat like everything. They've got to eat. So sooner or later, they're going to come up and take something.
Show them a daddy or a sedge,
right?
Or a CDC, and they'll come up for it.
Well, fingers crossed we get to catch something.
The tummy starts rumbling. And
It overrides the brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And here's one fisherman's friend, folks. You've got to see this one. This is where all these creatures should be, stuffed and mounted. I thought it was an albatross from a distance, but it's a lovely cormorant. And the closest thing I can put that to is this suitcase full of shotgun cartridges. We need to bring the two closer together because unfortunately the cormorants are just decimated the British fisheries. There's no question about that. And
that's a Victorian one, so he's been gone a long time.
He's been gone a long. He's okay in the collector's field. Yeah. Now, guys, out of these three, as I've done a bit of collecting, there's one that draws my eye, but thankfully not yet my wallet, towards this. But it is a aesthetically superb shape. Is there a name to that type, Richard?
It's a potbelly creel.
Yeah.
And I think it's made with French reed.
Very fine. Very fine.
And the lid and the body is.
And you can see around here all these little support sort of stitches. They're all still the original, aren't they?
Original.
And indeed, I guess the leather at the back.
Correct.
I mean, it's an amazing. When you look at that and think that's 100 years old, and it's still. You could still use that. I mean, that to me. Just look, and I know you've got loads probably somewhere else, but you know that's the nicest piece on the table. I think that shape of that. So if you're a collector, you're thinking of collecting something. You'd say go for quality, really, wouldn't you, Richard? In the collector's market, they would say
the shape is what dictates it almost.
You're gonna pay more, but it will hold its value better. I think.
And it will last longer.
Yeah. Lovely.
Another item you pick up from an auction is an old.
That's the old landing net.
Landing net. That's a Farlow's net without the net, but you can still buy the net and use it with an old vintage
shaft, ring and support, and that's all wood as well, isn't it?
And that slides, you know, it all folds
I see
away.
It slides through.
Yeah.
And then they clip it on the belt here, yeah?
That's it, yeah.
Now, if you did want some value for money and some vintage and learn more about it, you'd do a lot worse than actually getting in touch with Richard and finding out about books, because I know it's all about 600 of the books. I must have read some of them. I've certainly not read the 600, but they're really interesting. But just look at this. You know, if you look at this book, at the age of it, you can still read it, can't you, Richard? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you've got lovely pictures, you've got details. The old, etch plates, what do they call those?
What do they call them?
Of the different species, which we got now. But you can read all about the fishing old school, and you can pick these up for sort of £5 and £10 and stuff.
There's the creel. You've just passed the creel. Somewhere there.
Oh, we've got your landing net. There you are. There's the landing net.
Yeah, and then there's a creel here somewhere. Oh, there we are.
There you are. There he is.
Creel. That is a dead ring.
Almost a dead ring of that one in the book.
Look at that.
Of that shape, the pot-bellied shape there. And this is all interesting stuff, you know. Look, it probably won't catch any more fish, but it's just a part of British history, British fishing history, and you can get caught up in it. There's no question about that. I mean, I've got some. I think are they couches? Couch's books. They're called Couch's identification book. Beautiful, beautiful colour plates in them. But unfortunately, what a lot of people used to do, they cut the pages out and frame the prints and ruin the book. So that used to happen many years ago.
But you can pick up books like this for £2, £2.50.
Really?
And end up with a complete library.
Yeah. That's a cheap way round learning about vintage tackle. You'll find it in the book first. Okay, well, we're going to go. Any particular lake you should point us in the direction of?
Well, Crystal Pool at the rear there.
Yeah.
Because the water's so clear.
Sure.
And the sun is shining. Can't go wrong, really.
Well, yeah, we
saying
can.
That,
we can with a camera.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go anyway. Richard, thank you very much.
Lovely.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Good luck with the vintage tackle
but
collecting.
Keep collecting, everybody. You know.
Yeah, I've got some.
And come and get some of this.
Yeah, I've got some myself, old bits and pieces, and it's a part of British history, British fishing history, because a lot of the trout fishing, you know, it's all over the world now. It's international fly fishing, no question of that. But what people may not realise, a lot of the trout were shipped from England all over the world, weren't they?
They were.
Even when I did a story once in South Africa, Drakensberg Mountains, they turned out the fish originally came from over here, Scotland, I think it was.
Yeah.
So this is the historic place of trout fishing. Let's get out there, see if we can catch not just a British trout, not just a Surrey trout, a Richard trout.
And a brown trout, maybe.
Oh no, that's you made it tough now. Right, we're down here on one of Richard's many lakes here at Frensham, and I'm going to go with, well, if I don't go up the tree first, what looks like a very, very old, it came out of that antique box, a mayfly there, if you guys can see that one. That's definitely a dry mayfly, big bushy one. They're going to see it. If they don't see it, they'll certainly hear it with my casting. And Mike is using...
I'm going for, well, we haven't quite figured out what it is yet, but we reckon it's a spent mayfly. Don't know if you can see that there.
Very dark wings, isn't it?
Sort of wings are out flat, yeah. First time ever for me dry fly fishing, so hopefully another new experience, new PB type thing.
Well, could be. Let's go cracking, let's see what we can do.
Go on and try, come and tell me what you're waiting for. Move and keep 'em going till your life is overflowing, yeah. I do a dance of victory, 'cause now I'm living good, no I'm not living like I used to be. Now talk about things, talk about my mind. Now I'm free from the words that I left behind. I gotta jump for joy and shout aloud and make a sound. Oh, the world can stop me now, no. And on the music I will ride on the beat, play my guitar while I'm stomping my feet, yeah.
Strip the kinks out of it, straight away strip the kinks out of it, that's it. Then take you straight to the floor, whoop, that's it. That's it, let him sit there. Oh, he's right by it. You see the rise? Here he comes. That's good. Christ, I'm right on it. We should take that. Here he comes. Don't move it. Watch it. Oh, look. Oh, oh, oh. I'd let it sit there, Mike. Because that's what you do dry fly, isn't it, Richard? Just,
yeah. But the occasional little tweak.
just to give it, draw their attention.
Yeah. Tweak it.
It's so kinky.
Give it one tweak.
Yeah, the line's so kinky.
That'll do. Walk now, leave it. It's coming for it. Let him close his mouth like a carp. Strike! Oh! You got him on! That was worth watching, you know. That was brilliant. Good. That was good. That was really good.
That was a slight delay and then you lifted. Bang!
You were just right. If you'd have struck too soon. Yeah, you did. Yeah, good boy. Well done. Because a lot of, I used to do it. Stop that.
Yeah.
No. What I used to say, roll a cigarette, light a cigarette.
That was really perfect.
Good take, wasn't it?
Perfect take, yeah. He opened his mouth. Woo.
And the big thing is, we're trying to get with Mike's lucky, because he hadn't been spoilt by my bad habits, is pause, and with a dry fly.
Pause, yeah.
Life is better than good, yeah, you got me singing, oh, hey, I'm standing up on top of the world tonight.
Well done, that was good.
First fish on the dry fly. He's got some gas again. Just gave it that delay, like Dad was saying. No doubt he was screaming down the camera saying a load of rubbish.
But it
Goes
worked.
through one ear and out the other most of the times, but that time it did actually work. I gave it that little pause and just managed to get the trout. A nice little rainbow.
It's a little, that one. I reckon that's 4 pounds, isn't it? 3 pound maybe?
These
Yeah,
are
3, 3.5.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Now we're trying.
Scissors, look.
He's in, yeah. Keep
That
him
is a
in.
nice one actually.
Just hoisting quick for the camera, one quick look, because we want to get this fish back in the hot weather. Up on the surface, Mike. Yeah, really quick. Just show the fish quickly, leave the fly. That's a nice trout for a dry fly there.
Yeah, I think fly's pulling out.
I think the fly's out. So Richard, where you've got good spring water here, that's why you can do the returning generally.
Yeah, and lots of it.
It's
We
flowing
get
through.
A good million gallons a day at least.
Really through, it goes through the whole system.
Yeah.
And people, one assumes, can catch on dry fly here pretty well through the year, can't it, because you're sheltered.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Lots of trees, which often people moan about, but that's what gives them the shade and all the fly life. So,
And the insects, yeah.
yeah.
Right, so that was really brilliant to see that take on the camera as it happened from the cast to the hookup to catching the fish. But listen, dry fly fishing is different. You've got to be on the surface. Now the fly, during that fight, he's been chomped on by the trout and he's all squashed, crumpled, the hackles have been chewed up and he's sinking. If you cast straight away again, that's just going to sink and you won't be on the surface. I mean, you'll probably find the trout won't take it. So what you do is just keep a really short line, just keep it short, watch your back cast and just swish backwards and forwards like this. Just stand there, I don't know, 30 seconds like I'm doing now. And that swishing action through the air is going to dry the fly off. But if you go into the modern tackle shops, they give you I don't know what they call it, it's like a piece of gauze or material that you can actually put around the fly, suck out that excess moisture, make sure it doesn't go back in the water again. And then when you've got it all dried out, you reapply here, carefully taking out my forearm, some floating. As you'll notice, this is a no-name brand because the labels come off and we wouldn't plug it anyway because we're not sponsored. But we'll put some fly floating, is all I'm calling this, but I used to have a tub of stuff called mucilin, which I believe you can still get. And I'm just dripping this on there, letting it soak up, and this should keep the fly on the surface. And I come down the leader with it. The thick mucilin I used to use, I always felt did make the leaders go a bit opaque and possibly let the trout see it. So I would think nowadays it might be modern materials is probably better. Having said that, might just caught that fish on the old school method and an old school fly. And that, we believe, was a spent mayfly, and Richard did say mayflies catch on the top here all year round. So Mike, I dare say, I should think if you don't want another go, I do. You're going to have another go?
You can have a cast of that one, go on.
No, you have a go first.
Right.
I want to get that take again really in close up. See if we can. Oh yeah, he sucked that one back, a treat. And there's a couple of other tips. Remind me to tell you when I've landed this fish, I just thought of. Wow, he's off. This one is going well. I'm telling you, he's on the far bank. I think he's on the way to Hindhead, this one, up and out the bank and away. You know, I call it target fishing, I don't know what they call it, because I can see the fish here. I'm banging it down, banging it down, banging it down, and watching the response of the fish. And Mike's around the other side, or was till I got this hook up. Let me get him in a bit. Didn't like that pressure. Yeah, Mike's round the other side. He's fishing fairly static. And what I did then, I seen an American do it once, sort of dragging the fly over the surface. You attract their attention with the fly with 3 or 4 dropping it on their head casts. And then, if they start looking and they come short and don't take, just draw it away from them with a figure of 8, but you quiver your rod top. I'll try and show you if we get this fish in. Nice rainbow, this one too. I'm gonna wet the net first. Just hooked in the scissors. There he is. I suppose a fish about 4.5 pounds. Covering me, look at that one there. And I get him straight back in the water. Shows you the dry fly does work. Just look at the tail on that rainbow. That is nothing short of magnificent. That wouldn't look out of place on one of our big English reservoirs. Lovely fish, I'm going to get it straight back. Gosh, gone. Now, don't forget, dry it, get all that damp out the fly, re-grease it, re-mucilin, re-float into it, and I'll show you that other tip. Well, that's really bad. I was just about to tell you guys the secret to my success, and my son's hooked up already.
Yeah. I'm on a different fly here than the last one. It's a bit of a bigger fly, sort of more bushy really, I guess. I could see it more on the surface. Funny light at the moment. It's that kind of low light. We have to keep moving around a lake to get the right visibility. But that was a really slow take, that one. I didn't tweak the fly at all. Just dropped it about 2-3 feet in front of its nose and just left it. And it was a really, really slow take. A lot different to the other one. We'll get this back as quick as we can. Lovely marked fish though. In it goes, back in the net, over the rod. He's got lots of energy, this one. Try and get him upright. Away he goes.
Well guys, before I was so rudely interrupted by that rainbow trout Mike's just caught, I just wanted to say, every time you move that fly with a dry fly, you're soaking it. You're going to make it wetter. Now you've got to give it little 1-inch, 2-inch tweaks like this to attract attention, or just give it some form of movement. If you're not getting takes when it's totally flat, when it's totally static, just laying on the surface of the water like this, right? Just give it a little tweak, just so it just pops that much, 2 inches, if that. And then let it sit again. Now the other thing, which I just sort of do out of habit, I don't know whether it's the proper way one should do it, but when you've got your fly line out there, I find if I throw a bit of a snake into it, rather than tear the fly line off the water, which drags the fly through the water and saturates it more, and I've got to do even more force casting, I do this, I just shake my rod like this as I pick it up. As I pick it up, I'm doing this. Now I find with a floating line that shakes the moisture off, it breaks the tension, the surface tension of the water and the line much easier, much quieter than trying to tear the whole line off. Now you dry fly enthusiasts out there, you must know all about this, you must think I'm talking a load of twaddle. But we've got 3 fish, so I know my methods work. It's just a tip for beginners. Throw that snake in the line, just quiver it as you're lifting off, and I think you'll find it's less disturbance, comes off the surface film easier, and you can drop straight back down to the fish. A couple of 3 force casts, shake it, up, 1, 2, and up 3. But miss a tree by inches then, and I'm straight. Oh, I just missed one. I just missed a fish. You did it. You distracted me. You haven't got another one, have you? I think the one I had actually, I think was a coarse fish. It was a very, very fast take. I think it was a rudd. There are a few coarse fish in here. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, he's turned away from it. Here he comes again. I'm dropping it down short. And throw that snake in the rod, drop it down again. I'm just doing a sort of slow motion of this and then pumping it down. A couple of false casts. Watch your back cast. I put it out there again. Oh, Mr. Fishing, that's your fault. Distracting me with all this camera talk. It's 2-1 to Michael. I don't hold grudges. Well, only to the grave. Also, another tip here, guys, just figure of 8 slowly, keep in touch with the fly liner, but without drawing the fly out of position, because you're never going to have an absolute pencil sharp, straight line from your fly hand here, fly reel, to the fly itself. It's going to be some snakes in the line, you can't help it. Every time you want to move a snake in the line, it's going to move the fly. It's up to you how fast you want to move the fly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can move it or you can let it sit. There's a fish. And he is looking at it with disdain. But that's dry fly fishing. I don't think he rose and took it. I think he digested it. Oh no, I'm on. I didn't miss it. He's still on. He's still on. I thought I missed it. $800 feet, 900 feet, 1,000 feet. He's a smoker. Oh my god. He's on the other side of the lake. And do you know that early one that rose? It's burning my fingers, Mum. He's burning my fingers. He's nearly in the bushes. I think I got him back. I see that fly line then on the backing. See the backing. 800, 900, 1,000. Not big fish, but feisty or what? Net. Just come with me a minute, ladies. That's it. You all just sit there comfortably. Put the net up there, right? Always carry the net with you. Oh. Just when I thought I'd lost it, I hadn't. And that's 2-all, by the way. So guys, I had the sweetest take come up, just like Mike had that first time that hopefully we got on film. And this is a big fish. This might even be the biggest fish I've ever taken on a dry fly. Man, this fish is over 6 pounds. I've got flies all over me. I mean, I have had a shower, don't worry. This is a nice fish. This is a really spanking fish, this one. Don't fall off for the YouTube, guys. How do I do that? Here he comes, here he comes. I'm going to take one shot of this, I'm not going to mess around. This is a big fish. It's a big fish. This is probably, I'd say, it's the biggest fish I've ever taken on a dry fly. Look at the size of that. I mean, man. It could be sevens. They could be sevens. Let's get him in the water quick. I'll try and get your lift out of it. That is easily a PB dry fly for me.
It's a big trout.
That's a big trout. And the sweetest take you could ever want. I'm going to get it straight back in the water, let it recover. Beautiful fish. What about that for some superb dry fly fishing here at Frensham Trout Fishery? Do you know what it was? We had another fishery cancel out on us because of weed problems. We thought, where can we go where it's cold water and we got an outside chance of getting a trout and a dry fly? Thank goodness the hunch paid off. The good old Pullen hunch paid off. Totally awesome. I got a PB with my biggest rainbow on a dry fly, and
I got my first trout on a dry fly, but I got 2 as well today, so I was really happy with that.
that was good fun. That was good fun.
Yeah.
So the answer is, guys, don't think you got to flog away all day. You can always get, I'm talking UK fishing here, you can get half-day tickets, you can get evening tickets, and when it's hot, you don't want to be out there in the sun all day sweating and slaving away, and the trout aren't going to be feeding anywhere. Get there at the right time, use the dry fly, give yourself a challenge. Great fun.
Really good fun. Definitely get out there and do it.
Watch out for the next trout episode.
Sometimes we don't want to, still we gotta chase our dreams, reach up and reach high, because we're gonna pull through and give it all we got, even though it can seem hard to catch and make it happen, but we can't start sliding. Come on and do what you gotta do to fight on, and so no matter what comes your way,